Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Easy Learn. And today's topic is area of triangles, within which we're going to be looking at non right angle triangles. And it's practice time today. If you haven't watched my area of triangles explanation video yet, pause right here, check the link in the description below, go understand the concept first, and then come back for solving. So today's question is, below is an equilateral triangle with base 28 meters. Find area of the triangle. So let's suppose this is my equilateral triangle and the base is 28 meters. Now, one thing about equilateral triangles is that all the sides of an equilateral triangle are same, which means that if my base is 28 meters, these two slant heights are also 28 meters. And now, keeping in mind my area formulas, because I have to find the area of the triangle, and this is a non-right angle triangle, so I have two formulas which I could be looking at. So one is area of a non-right angle triangle provided that an angle enclosed between two lengths is known, it's half AB sine C. And area of a non-right angle triangle provided that the base and height are known is base times height. Now, in this specific situation, you have to figure out which formula you're supposed to deal with. Now, in this triangle, if you notice carefully, we do not have an angle. We need a C, that is sine C. You need it in order to be using half AB sine C. So if I do not have my angle in this one, that means I cannot use this formula. Now there is a way to find the angle. I could find this one as well as this one as well as this one. There is a way to do it using the cosine rule, but because we haven't discussed it yet and it's kind of a lengthy process, so we're not going through the cosine rule yet. Once we understand the sine and cosine rules, then we're going to be probably coming back to a question like this, but not right now. So in this straightforward approach, when you see that you don't have your angle, that is the C, you're just going to get rid of it. We'll decide not to use this specific equation or the formula. So the next one is the base times the height. Now if you notice in this one, I just have my base. I do not have my height. And my height is this vertical length right there. Now, can I find my height is the question. Now, after I break this down with this vertical height, you need to notice that this is a right angle triangle. It's making a right angle triangle. And we also need to know that because it's an equilateral triangle, if I am breaking this into half, that means that this height, if I take it as x, and if I'm breaking this thing into half, these two lengths right here are supposed to be half of 28. So 28 is the length. If I break this 28 into half, it means that these two lengths or these two right angle triangles that I can see, I have a 14 meters here, a 28 meters there, which means that I can do something to find my x. That's my height. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get rid of one part of the question or one part of the triangle, and I'm just going to be dealing with this part right here. To make it a bit more neat, I'm going to make it out here. And as you can see, this height is x, this one here is 28, and this one here is 14. Now, you got to recall your Pythagoras theorem in order to find this length or the height, I mean. So the Pythagoras theorem is used when you're dealing with first thing right angle triangles, and secondly when you have two lengths and one of the length is missing, then you can easily jump onto the Pythagoras theorem and find it out. So if I write this down, h squared equals a squared plus o squared. So h squared or h, that is the hypotenuse, is always supposed to be this diagonal length or the longest length. So I'm going to write 28 squared equals the a square. Now in this particular situation, because I'm not dealing with any angles, so I can take a as anything. Either I take my a as x or I can take a as 14, doesn't really matter. So I'm just going to write 14 squared plus o squared. Now first thing, this 14 goes to the other side. I gotta isolate this O, or the opposite. I have to isolate it in order to find it. So I'm gonna take 14 squared to the other side. Now this 14 squared is in positive over here. When it goes to the other side, turns into negative. So 28 squared minus 14 squared is equal to my O squared. Now, the next thing is that because I want to isolate the O, every single thing attached with this O needs to go to the other side. So I'm just going to take the square and take it to the other side. Now, when the square goes to the other side, it turns into a square root. So I'm just going to be writing So I'm going to be writing square root of 28 squared minus 14 squared equals my O. Or perhaps in this situation it's the x, so I'm just going to write equals the x. When I look at my scientific calculator, now square root of 28 squared minus 14 squared is 24.2, which means my x right here is 24.2 meters. So my height that was x initially now becomes 24.2. Now that I have my height as 24.2, and if I look back at my formula, area of a non-right angle triangle, provided that I have the base and I have the height, it's base times height. So I have my base as 28, I have my height as 24.2. Putting this formula in action, A equals BH. So A is going to be 28 times 24.2, and 28 times 24.2, as you can see, is 677.6. Now if you want, you can keep it to one decimal place, or I just think that we could take it as in three significant figures, or I could take the whole number. So I'm just going to write it down as 678 meter square. Again, when you're dealing with areas, it's important to take the square. The unit for area is always in square. Now it could be centimeter square, meter square, kilometer square, doesn't matter, but it has to be a square. This little 2 right up there is known as a square. So this is how you go about finding the area. If you don't have your angles, if your angles are not there, you cannot use half AB sine C. You have to use the other formula that's base times height, and then you have to try to figure out a way to find your height with the provided slant heights and your base. Once you have your height, you use the formula base times height, and then you find your area. That's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching Easy Learn. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe my channel. And take care of yourselves until next time. Thank you very much.